Hello, hello. Welcome to the Awful and Awesome episode 268. My name is Abbas.
And I'm Nainika.
But when the guards are away, the inmates will play in the asylum. So Abhinandan and Archie aren't here this week.
Yes,
They
so
are on a
we're
well-deserved break.
replacing them here.
So we're going to be talking about the newest HBO Game of Thrones spin-off, which has been the talk of the town. It's called House of the Dragons.
Yes.
We're going to be discussing once again the latest Marvel offering, which is SheHulk. Because obviously when I'm on the show and Nainika is on the show, we have to talk about a Marvel property.
I have to be tortured with that.
And as Nainika says, they just put out so much stuff, it's impossible to not talk about it whenever I'm on the show. And we're going to talk about a film directed by George Miller called 3000 Years of Longing, which I unfortunately was not able to catch, but Nainika did, although I'm very intrigued by the premise and the trailer. So I'll get to know more about that from Nainika. And we're going to talk about a Netflix show called Mo, which stars a stand-up comedian from Texas called Momin Amir, who goes by Mo Amir. And I thought it was a very interesting show because it's a great combination of a Palestinian American who lives in Texas, who gets to play the lead. So let's start with probably one of the biggest TV show premieres in the longest time that happened 2 weeks ago, which was House of the Dragon, which is a spin-off of Game of Thrones, which was the TV show of the last decade.
TV show of, at least. I mean, I feel like it's going to be the TV show for a lot of people's lifetimes. One of the shows that they're going to remember for ages and ages.
Yes.
So,
Also, one of the shows which faced extreme backlash because of the last season.
That was a joke.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't watched it, but I've heard a lot of the jokes. So.
I was about to ask you, so Nainika, what's your relationship with Game of Thrones, your history with Game of Thrones?
I watched the first 5 seasons. I think I was in college, and back then I did not have any sense of binge watching or watching TV. And I think because I had nothing to do one particular weekend, so I just started watching it. Back then I think 5 seasons had released, so I watched all 5 seasons. And then somehow I never came back to finish the rest. I do not know why. I did not hate the show, but I think it did not leave as much of a lasting... it didn't really intrigue me that much for me to come back and finish. But the 5 seasons that I did watch, I actually liked it. And I thought it was pretty well done. And, the amount of money that they put into it, the stories were intense. It did not feel extremely formulaic. Even for how chaotic it was, I thought it was pretty good. So yeah, I liked it. I have overwhelmingly mostly positive thoughts about it.
Okay.
What about you, Abbas?
Did you ever read the books?
I read the first one, yes.
Okay. So I was extremely hyped about the show when it premiered in 2012.
Okay.
Because I remember
2012.
I think so, if I'm not wrong. It ran for 8 seasons, so I think 2012 to 2020 was its initial run.
Okay, because I remember back when in school when I hadn't watched it, I used to hear a lot of people talking about it. So it's always been pretty big. So I'm not sure of 2012, but maybe it was.
So maybe 10 or 11. Maybe I've got it off by a
maybe
year.
a couple of years here and there.
Yeah. So it was a huge deal when it premiered on HBO because epic fantasy show, and HBO had put a lot of budget
money into it. A lot of money
and everything. And so I, like a lot of people, saw the first season and I was blown away by it.
So the first season was solid. The first season was solid.
Yes. And the most attractive thing about the show, which a lot of people also realized, was nobody was safe on the show.
Yes.
Up till now, I think in every TV show, if you are introduced to a protagonist, you knew, come what may, this character will survive till the end of the show.
That is what I meant when I said that it's not formulaic. It's not based on a trope where one particular hero is there and then the hero manages to survive against all odds. That wasn't the case. Even if you were the hero up until the last point, the tide could turn and you could genuinely be against an enemy that could defeat you, even if you had the purest morals or whatever. You're very virtuistic at heart. It wasn't going to work out in your favor.
Yeah. House of the Dragons is based off a book which he's written called Fire and Blood, which is again a whole different 700-page book he's written apart from the main series, which is just the history of the Targaryen family. right?
When did he write it?
So the book came out in 2019,
Okay.
and
so he just wrote a book about the history of the Targaryen family instead of finishing.
Yes.
I appreciate the dedication to not writing his books. That is some stunning levels of procrastination.
Yeah, that's his procrastination book. His 700 page procrastination.
Oh my God, 700! He's a representative of everyone who's ever, abandoned one project in the middle to just do something else because they cannot go back to the first one.
Yes, and so the book is literally that. It's written like a textbook of how one king was succeeded by another, and where what wars were fought, and how they were won, and what was happening. And the producers and writers at HBO just saw sort of a golden egg opportunity where they were like, anything from George R. R. Martin's pen, we're gonna just adapt it into a book. So I've seen one of the 2 episodes, the pilot episode, and I have to say I quite like it. I mean, I
thought same. Yeah. I liked it actually.
One of the things I was a little worried about was that when Game of Thrones started, it wasn't very heavy on its visual effects. They were largely scenes inside courtrooms and palaces, and a lot of talking in a fantasy setting. So I was under the impression that is this show just gonna be like dragons breathing fire every 3 scenes because now they have the budget to do that.
No, but it wasn't.
And to be fair, the first scene starts with a dragon mid-air. So I was like, here we go. They're just gonna make it a fight in the air dragon show. But they did not do that. I thought the first episode held very well.
Yes.
And it also a little bit played like the greatest hits of Game of Thrones.
To be honest, absolutely. Like when I saw the show, I was like, I can't really differentiate it from when I watched Game of Thrones. And I watched it many, many years ago. And if I still can't spot much of a difference between, I was just like, okay, this is just I've not watched Game of Thrones for 3-4 seasons, and they've just taken a jump cut, so all the characters are different, but it's the same storytelling, is the same narrativistic style. The characters are fucked up in the similar ways. They have the same mentality that everybody on Game of Thrones had, so there's not a lot of difference. Not to say that, the formula worked, which is why I think they're going back to it for the second. It's sort of like, how Marvel does, they know what their fans need, so they're just giving them exactly that without any change. So they know that the show has this dedicated global fandom, and they're not playing around, they're not messing around. It's not different in its narrativistic style at all. It's just that they've decided to focus on one family instead of a cluster of all those messed up families. So that's nice. But even despite the fact that it offers nothing new, it was still interesting to watch.
I think which is what will make it appealing for someone who hasn't seen Game of Thrones. I think Game of Thrones,
they might get into it because of it.
So many families and so many characters within the first episode. I think the characters in this one are a little streamlined. We'll move on to our next topic, which is another Marvel show, Nainika, SheHulk. SheHulk, yes, funny show, lawyer show, where there's also a superhero.
A moment of silence for the amount of brain cells I lost having to watch it, only because Jude insisted I do.
Hey!
Listen, Abbas, your hey is not going to change the fact that I really struggled through it.
I have a confession to make, which I said I'll tell you before we started recording. So I think I am also finally getting over Marvel because the latest Thor movie, Thor: Love and Thunder, I didn't even go to the theater to watch it.
I was telling you, it's done, it's formulaic, it's boring, it's uninspired, it's giving nothing. Yeah, I'm done.
And of all the things that we are reviewing today, I have to say SheHulk is the most mid-tier.
Disappointing? Yeah.
I won't say quite disappointing, but very mid so far of the other things we're talking. So SheHulk stars Tatiana Maslany.
Who is a good actress. I like her.
She's a very good actress. I think she's very good in the show
What show was she in where she plays a bunch of characters?
Orphan Black.
Orphan Black,
I think. I always confused it with Orange is the New Black.
Yeah, they came out around the same time. But no. She was an Orphan Black, yeah.
Yes. So Tatiana Maslany plays Jennifer Walters. I think the protagonist's name is. And she's a lawyer, and her cousin is Bruce Banner, who is the Hulk in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And an accident happens because of which her blood literally mixes with Bruce Banner's blood, And Bulk, I'm saying. Blood, sorry. Not Bruce Banner's Bulk.
And Hulk.
And lo and behold, she also becomes a Hulk. But unlike Bruce Banner, she's actually able to keep her sort of alter ego of Jennifer Walters, this lawyer, inside her, even when she's hulking out. And the reasoning for that that we are given is something that has created a lot of controversy online. So I would love to know your opinion on this, Nainika.
Okay.
Is because she's a woman, and as a woman, she takes a lot more shit than men do. So this is not a very subtle commentary on the fact that men lose their shit at the smallest of things, whereas women can control their anger way better. And that's the reason that she can be a lawyer and also a Hulk.
Have you read the comics, the SheHulk comics?
I have not read much of SheHulk. No.
Okay.
Yeah.
So see, the show does heavily rely on the fact that she's a woman and she is existing out and about in the world as a woman, which is a little, it can be difficult. So I understand there is a sense of like, how they used to say show don't tell.
Right.
This show, like this particular series tries to show it so heavily. The metaphor is so heavy-handed that at some point I have to cringe and I'm like, this is not a TV show. This is like a nukkar natak where you have to drive home the point. So you have to choose the heaviest metaphor possible. It's so stupid. She's like, the opening scene, she has like some sort of an accident. She goes to the bathroom. Like she has an accident. She wakes up after a while. She rushes to some bar bathroom trying to like get her wits about herself. And a bunch of women come in and immediately they try to help her out. Like, oh my God, girl, what's wrong with you? Let me do your makeup, take my clothes. And it's supposed to rely on that, like, online talked about trope of like how women help each other out and get each other ready or whatever. I'm like, first of all, you enter... Like, what is this like relying on trope? If you enter a washroom looking literally like you don't have your shoes, you're looking haggard, you're beaten, there's blood on your clothes, most women are going to run away from you even if you're a woman. Let's be realistic here. Women are not some like stupid magpies that rely on like, childhood, just what childish behavior to come. Literally, that scene makes all the women who come and help her and put makeup on her or whatever, it makes them look so stupid and so childish. I was almost like, this is just some nonsense. And then the moment she like steps out of the bar bathroom, she's randomly accosted by these men who try aggressively hitting on her and telling her, where are you going? I'm like, okay, yes, that happens. But just relying on metaphor that heavy-handed, it's almost to the point that it made me like, why are you trying to force this idea down my head? Why can't you be more subtle about it? Who's your target audience that they can't understand something like that? Very, very, like the metaphor was so heavy-handed that it made the whole show a little difficult to think of it as realistic or even a smart artistic choice at any point. So that is to say, I did not enjoy SheHulk. I thought it was subpar.
What?
I sat
yeah. Okay, what did you think of the CGI? Because there was a
so
lot of...
So bad. What the hell is happening? How her hair literally changes. She somehow like... grows breasts the moment she turns into a bigger version of Hulk. And
but then like Bruce Banner says, he gives her a lot of spandex to wear, which expands.
Yeah, there's that scene where he's like, who's your best friend? She's like, Nikki. No, spandex is your best friend.
Spandex.
Oh my God. But why would they do that to... Wait, what's the name of the character who plays Hulk?
Jennifer Walters.
No, Hulk.
Bruce Banner.
No.
Mark Ruffalo.
Yeah, why would they do that to Mark Ruffalo? He's such a sweet actor. He's so good looking.
Because he's getting a paycheck. And they also make that joke where he says, it's been such a long time, I look different, literally, which was a joke about the fact that that Edward Norton played Bruce Banner in the first movie. And then they replaced him with Mark Ruffalo.
Really? See? Actually, that happened?
Yeah, in 2008, when the first Hulk movie came out, it was Edward Norton who played the role.
So this was Marvel Hulk, because another Hulk has come out where the lady was Jennifer Connelly.
So that was 2003. That was Ang Lee's Hulk.
Yeah,
which is one of the weirdest superhero films.
That was a weird Hulk. I like Jennifer Connelly.
It was weird because Ang Lee is known for making this very art. He made Brokeback Mountain.
He also made that Life of Pi. He makes art.
Yes, he makes very like high art films.
Yeah,
and he got to make Hulk. So it's weird in the sense, he's trying to do something weird and new with the Hulk. But that was one. Then in 2008, the first MCU Hulk that came out, it was Edward Norton.
I did not know about that.
But then they fired him because Edward Norton wanted control of everything. And he was very difficult to get along with.
Edward Norton's the guy who was in Fight Club, right?
Yes.
Salma Hayek's ex-husband or something.
Oh, really? I
They
didn't know
dated
that.
for really long. They weren't married, but
Okay.
yes.
So I'll give you my take on She-Hulk. I did not hate it as much as you hated it.
Okay, you know what?
I
At
thought it
this
was
point, it's a
okay.
little bit of my bias, and I know the comment section is going to be full of people again telling me to watch 5,000 hours of previous Marvel footage so I can understand what's going on in the show. I will not be doing that, so please save your breath. Do not write those comments.
Ouch. So those of you watching us on video, this is where we'll have to take your leave. You can listen to the rest of the episode in its audio form on newslaundry.com. Do remember that The Awful and Awesome is now behind a paywall. So do subscribe if you want to listen to the rest of the episode and the upcoming episodes when Rajshri and Abhinandan are back as well.
We, being an independent platform, depend on our readers, viewers, and listeners. Support independent media by subscribing to News Laundry. Go to newslaundry.com, click on the subscribe button at the top, and pay to keep news free.